let's say we're using Strachan cloth. And I have a known number. In order to calculate your stretch for all other tables, you have to have a known number to work with. Let's say I've only put Strachan on a 7-foot valley. The slate is 43 inches wide. I put it on with a 1 3/8 stretch. So I need to know how much my cloth stretches per inch so that I know what the stretch is for different size tables. So let's take this 1.375 inch. You take 1.375 divided by 43 inches. That's my known number. So my formula to figure out what my stretch is for any other size table is for Strachan is 0.03197. Let's say I come up to a 8-foot diamond and I want to put Strachan on the 8-foot diamond. What is my stretch index? Well, with this stretch right here, take this, times it by the width of the 8-foot slate, which is 52 inches. That gives me a stretch index of 1.66. That's what my stretch is. With the stretch of Strachan being 0.03197 per inch times 52 gives us a stretch index of 1.66. 1/11/16 is a little bit more than this. So if we stretch this down to 1 5/8 and we call it 1 5/8 stretch, that is what you would put Strachan on a 52-inch wide slate, a 1 5/8 stretch. So that's your stretch index for Strachan on a diamond 8-foot.
When you had done 1 3/8 inch divided by 43 inches, just the formula on the valley for Strachan cloth, you get this number.
And you times this number times whatever width the slate you're going to put Strachan on. That tells you what the stretch index is for any size table.
For the Simonis, you approached it the same. You took 1 3/8 inch.
Because this is my known number. This is my known size slate that I put it on.
Okay, so you took the 1 3/8 right here.
Yes.
Divided by, which is 1.375, divided by 47 inches, and it gave you this number right here.
Yes, this is Simonis 860 HR blue cloth stretch per inch regardless of what size table you put it on. The diamond is a wider slate.
Yeah.
So it's going to change this per inch. Now, if I would have divided this 1 3/8, which is 1.375 by 43 inches for a valley, that would give me this number because it's a skinnier slate.
Oh, I see. So the valley 7-foot, there is no 43 in a diamond. A 7-foot goes to 47.
Right.
Okay.
So it changes my stretch on Simonis 860 HR to this. This is how much Simonis stretches per inch on a 7-foot diamond.
Okay.
Now, if I'm putting Simonis 860 HR Tour Blue on a valley,
Okay.
to keep the stretch shadows out,
On a valley. Okay.
because it's 4 inches skinnier.
Yeah.
So, 0.02925 times 43 inches. Now my stretch is 1 1/4, not 1 3/8.
Because it's a smaller slate.
And yes, that's where the difference comes in. Now, with the Simonis 860 HR, we have a known stretch, 1 3/8, which is 1.375 divided by the width of the diamond 7-foot slate, 47 inches. This is how much the Simonis 860 HR Tour Blue stretches per inch. Now, if you're doing a 9 foot, a 0.02925 times the width of a 9 foot slate, which is 57 inches wide, that gives my stretch at 1.667 per inch. 1.66 is about 1 and 11/16 stretch side to side.
Okay.
So depending on your strength, you could take that 1 11/16, step it up to 1 3/4, rounding it off, or you can back it down to 1 5/8. If you take this formula for how much Simona 60 HR stretches per inch, because you have a known stretch on a 7 foot diamond, the slate is 47 inches wide. If you take this known stretch per inch and times it by the width of a 9 foot slate, you come up with a stretch index of 1.667, which is about 1 and 11/16. Keep in mind, this is 1 3/8 on a 7 foot stretch. Now we're going to 1 11/16 for a 9 foot. It's only 10 inches wider than a 7 foot. So if people think they can get another ½ inch, 3/4 inch stretch out of 10 inches, good luck to them. But this formula tells you how much to stretch a 9 foot. So 1 11/16, you can round it off to 1 3/4, depending on your strength, or back it down to 1 5/8. You're right in between 1 5/8, 1 3/4. Remember, this is a reference of stretch, not the exact science, because it can change. Some weaves of the Simona 60 HR are a little tighter than others. So you got a variable in your stretch, but this puts you right in the ballpark of what you need. Your stretch index, whether it needs to be increased or decreased. And you won't know that until you stretch the two ends of the cloth. That'll tell you if you need to up your stretch by 1/8 of an inch or down by 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch if you want to be that accurate. When I close off the second end, if I can pull my stretch index past the end of the cloth, well, then I need to increase my side to side. If I have a hard time getting my stretch line to the end of the slate for the second end, then I need to back off on my stretch side to side. But I only need one table recovered to tell me what I got to do with my cloth to double check my stretch index. This is the stretch index jig that I invented. So I loosen up my wing nuts. I bring my right side and my left side to 1 3/8. Then lock my wing nut. Lock my wing nut. Now, on the side of the slate, that's a 1 3/8 stretch. So then, one 3/8 stretch.
Huh. What does that mean?
That's going to be pulled over to the edge of the slate.
And it's going to be like that all the way around?
Yeah, because you do that on the side to side, and then you do that on the end to end. But when you stretch the second end, how much you stretch that tells you whether you need to adjust your side to side. Because you may stretch the cloth tighter than I do. But if you do, you need to keep it balanced. Twice as long in stretch versus width. 2 to 1. This is how you use my stretch index jig. I got it set to a 1 3/8 stretch by adjusting the wing nuts, moving my guide bar in and out. So that's 1 3/8, that's 1 3/8. This is a 1 3/8 stretch for a Strachan installation on a 7 foot valley. Normally, if you're doing full cut radius pockets, there's your 13/16 mark, there's your 5/8. But since this is a bar table, that's your 1/4 inch mark, that's your 3/8 mark. So, on the anchor side, you use the inside, or the furthest out line, which is your 3/8, and then indicate your slack in the side pocket. Right there. See? Now you come to the other side. See? Now you got your slack on both sides of your anchor side.
Okay.
Now, let's go to the stretch 2 side. Now you line it up with the stretch 2 side, line it up with the cut of the pocket, indicate right there is your stretch. Now this one, because we're stretching it over, you put your mark up here. Now go ahead and trace your 1 3/8 stretch. There's your 1 3/8 stretch line. So now here, there's your stretch line. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Now, this same stretch is what you use on the end of the cloth for the end stretch. If you're stretching 1 3/8 side to side, you got to stretch both ends 1 3/8 also. That's your 2 to 1 stretch. Now, I'm going to show you why it's important. I'm going to give you a reference here to show you how to straighten the weave into your pocket. See that line? Remember that line.
Okay. And this is just putting a line on the plane surface.
So that you can see how to straight line your grain.
Okay.
You see that line now?
Yeah.
Okay? Let's hold that line. We don't need, well, we'll put it at both ends.
Okay.
Just for the hell of it.
Okay.
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 Now, all the marking is done.
That's it. And the stretch
That's it.
index tool has been used. All right. We'll see this in the end. What was the stretch?
1 3/8.
1 3/8. And we could have gone up 1/8.
We're going to bump up, now that we've used this new stracking again,
Yeah.
then we're going to bump the stretch up to 1 1/2.